Black history is American history, whether they like it or not.
New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants.
The history of slavery in New York goes back to 1626. These men built the wall for which Wall Street is named.
The civil rights movement changed America.
We fight to defend the water we drink, the land we grow our food on, and our way of culture. We also fight to protect Rockefeller's foundations, kind of foundation that the black man can't partake of, you understand?
Every time we created a town or safe space, it was burned down or all but destroyed by white people. One of the most famous ones is the Tulsa Massacre, which was Black Wall Street.
Harlem became the beating heart of Black America. Art, music, politics, literature, and culture all converging in one place.
It wasn't just the White House that was built using slave labor. The building that serves as our country's political center, the United States Capitol, was built and rebuilt using slave labor after its sacking in the War of 1812.
And a lot of it has been hateful, violent, and ugly.
These massacres have occurred in Black towns, Black places, where the Black population was attacked and killed by white people, unprovoked. Lake Lanier was once a thriving Black town called Oscarville, resulting in the forced displacement of almost 2,000 Black community members, and then it was later dammed and flooded to create Lake Lanier. Seneca Village in Manhattan is the current day Central Park, was once a thriving Black neighborhood that had its own post office, own towns, own banks, own schools. When it became too prosperous, they said eminent domain, and they created Central Park.
But the incredible thing about Black people in this country is we persevered, and we continue to persevere through racism, oppression, and constant efforts to stop our progress and erase our contributions to the world.
In less than a year, the Blackout Report has documented more than 15,700 attacks on Black progress.
What makes Black Americans unique as people is we didn't flee our oppressors, and we didn't abandon our country for better treatment elsewhere. We stayed, we fought, we built.
The civil rights movement changed America. In the 1960s, brave young activists held sit-ins at segregated lunch counters, and freedom riders challenged interstate bus segregation, facing violence but refusing to back down. In 1963, over 200,000 people gathered for the March on Washington, where Dr. King delivered his iconic I Have a Dream speech. In 1964 and 1965, the Civil Rights Act and Voting Rights Act were passed, ending legal segregation and protecting voting rights nationwide.
We found strength in community and carved out spaces for us to continue to flourish and thrive.
The Harlem Renaissance wasn't just about jazz and poetry. It was about survival, identity, and health. In the early 1900s, thousands of Black families fled the South. They were escaping Jim Crow, racial terror, and poverty. Here on the streets of Upper Manhattan, they built something extraordinary, the Harlem Renaissance. Harlem became the beating heart of Black America. Art, music, politics, literature, and culture all converging in one place. Langston Hughes turned jazz into poetry. Nora Neale Hurston collected stories that preserve the wisdom of Black folk culture. Duke Ellington's orchestra filled the Cotton Club with sounds so powerful they redefined American music.
And most importantly, we never stopped being proud and Black. That's why we're the most creative, unique, and determined people on the face of this earth, which for whatever reason is threatening to so many people, which is why we're under constant attack of Black erasure.
591 Black books banned in 2025. Entire museum exhibits on Black migration and diaspora shut down. More than 6,700 federal data sets erased, from health to housing to justice.
You see it everywhere you look. There's a constant effort to ignore, downplay, or completely remove contributions of Black people who are descendants of American slavery from culture and history.
New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and as of tonight, led by an immigrant.
Whoa there, little Bella Jeep. You gonna have to pipe down. Last time I checked, one of the first groups to actually start building New York City was Black Americans, free and enslaved. Some of the early communities built in New York was built by Black Americans. Or how about the simple fact that Black Americans was out there building New York City before they could actually freely own any land out there in New York City.
And it's coming from all sides, from the federal government, white nationalists, and even some immigrants. All for different reasons, but the goal is the same: erasure.
It seems that these immigrants learned that white supremacy would never fully accept them. So the next best thing they could do was come over and steal culture and history from Black Americans.
Real quick, I want to shout out my boy Javon from Eccentric Threads, who's sponsoring this video. He's got a line of pretty dope holiday sweatshirts. The link is in the description. Make sure you go check them out. And you can get 15% off if you use the code JewAlmighty. And me personally, I got the Kobe sweatshirt. We all need a little bit of mama mentality. But I'm Jew. Welcome to the channel. Please like and share the video. Don't forget to sub. Now, let's get into it.
New York City in America was built on the back of Black slaves. No other group And let's not forget that.
For a lot of white Americans, it's easier to erase, ignore, or soften the truth than it is to confront the brutality and effects of slavery, racism, and generations of systematic advantages that they benefited from that set the black community back.
If you're familiar with the Trinity Church in New York's financial district, you may not know that the clergy rented enslaved people to build its iconic spires, as well as the wall that used to snake down what we now know as Wall Street. Many of our forefathers were enslavers.
13th Amendment to the Constitution makes it unconstitutional for someone to be held as a slave. There are exceptions, including criminal.
The loophole was immediately exploited. What you got after that was a rapid transition to a mythology of black criminality.
Virtually impossible for a politician to run and appear soft on crime.
The kinds of kids that are called super predators.
Millions of dollars will be allocated for prison and jail facilities.
3 strikes and you are out. Now have more African Americans under criminal supervision than all the slaves back in the 1850s.
That's why they don't like to have those conversations and try to gaslight black people into believing we need to move on and stop crying about the past. The fact is, if you don't learn from the past, you're destined to repeat it. That's why it's important that we know our history and keep it alive. But the erasure that we're seeing doesn't only come from white people or the government. We also see it from some immigrants who come to this country and act like black Americans have no culture.
African Americans in this country are the only groups, they have no culture. It depends on who you meet, where you meet them. 2 value systems in the African American culture. Name 2 taboos in the African American culture system. Name 2 traditions, by the way, in the African American culture system. You have no culture.
We have to discuss the socialization of anti-black sentiment throughout the diaspora. Black American culture is unique and has developed in America over the last 400 years. So why is this dance considered traditional and cultural for you, but twerking for us couldn't be a part of African American culture? Black spirituality and worship in the Black church has been a central and vital institution in Black American life, acting as a hub for community, social justice, and spiritual support. Black American spirituality, Louisiana voodoo, and hoodoo, which developed from the Middle Passage and thrived during our time here on the plantation, is a direct result of our African origins coupled with our new existence here in America. Soul food, which can be traced back to the culinary practices of enslaved Africans in the American South, blending African traditions with European techniques, inspiration from the natives, and ingredients and cooking methods available during slavery. It's unique to Black Americans. Our value systems are family and community. We have collectivistic values, placing a strong emphasis on family closeness, community bonding, and solidarity is a core value in art, which is the most exported and consumed and marketed part of our culture. From the Harlem Renaissance to today, Black Americans have made immense contributions to the arts, visual art, our dances, our music, which have been consumed globally for the last century.
The moment a Black artist started climbing the R&B charts, these vultures would swoop in. Label immediately calls their stable of clean-cut white artists. Rush released the sanitized version and flood white radio stations, while the original gets buried in segregated markets.
That we're lazy, uneducated, or haven't contributed value to this society. And they use those narratives to big up themselves or their own culture and try to get closer to whiteness. Meanwhile, the very rights that people that immigrate to this country enjoy, voting rights, civil rights, equal access to this country, only exist because of the generations of Black people that have fought, marched, bled, sacrificed, and died to secure them. Let's not forget that Black people fought and died in every war in this country. Yes, African Americans have fought in every American war since this country's founding, from the Revolutionary War to present day. Around 5,000 Black people fought in the Revolutionary War. The War of 1812, Black men served in this war, with the U.S. Navy being an integrated service. The Civil War, approximately 180,000 African Americans served in the Union Army and the Navy. In World War I, over 350,000 African Americans served, including the 369th Infantry Regiment, known as the Harlem Hellfighters. In World War II, more than 2.5 million African Americans registered for service and over 1 million served, despite facing segregation and discrimination. So it's crazy that people that never contributed anything meaningful to society put so much effort into calling Black people unpatriotic. Black men served, bled, and died for this country in every war it fought. But when they came home, they were still treated like they had to deal with segregation and systematic racism. They weren't given the GI Bills that other white veterans were given when they came home.
The lie of equal opportunity, AKA how you build a wealth gap on purpose. They went to school, bought homes, built wealth. But here's the catch. The GI Bill wasn't administered equally.
Meaning they couldn't buy homes for their family and build wealth to pass down generations. And if they were able to buy homes, they had to deal with redlining, which is where they were told where they were allowed to buy a home and live.
Local agencies controlled who got what. And local meant Jim Crow South and redlined North.
And in the long run, a lot of those property values didn't go up like they did in white neighborhoods, meaning white people were able to build even more wealth, while people that fought and bled for this country struggled.
Black veterans denied home loans by racist banks, denied college by segregated racist universities, denied job training in fields unsuitable for their race.
And that's not even addressing racism in the workplace, where black people that were qualified and overqualified for jobs wouldn't get it because of the color of their skin. But unqualified white people would get those jobs because of the color of their skin or the connections they have and continue to be promoted. And even today, we're still dealing with things like the racial wage gap. The racial wage gap starts as early as 16 years old for black workers. And most black people never catch up with white counterparts. But you know what? Those same patriotic soldiers had to deal with racism overseas when they were serving. Black soldiers shared their racism experience in Vietnam in the 1970s. It shows how white supremacists taught the Vietnamese people to hate them.
To get a power here, it's nothing but a greeting. That's all. We can't wear our bracelets in the movie. How come? How come? It's illegal, they say. It's against regulation.
Black people just be effortlessly cool.
They said the afro was legal. Am I right or wrong? That's right. That's what they said. It was legal. We can sport an afro. But they want us to wear a skinhead. What they call it, high and tight. It's not my culture.
And they're doing the same thing right now with black people in the military. Changing those regulations to only affect black people, like black men having to shave a certain type of way, or how black women's hair can look. And if they don't follow those regulations, then they're out of the military.
They're basically instructing all of the commanders to separate any members who require a medical shaving waiver for more than a year. Anyone who's on a medical shaving waiver is supposed to be put on a treatment plan. If after a year they still require that treatment plan, they're instructed to separate the members. I think this is incredibly telling because a lot of the members that have medical shaving waivers have this skin condition, something that affects 3 out of 5 black men, in which it is incredibly painful.
Don't ever let anybody gaslight you into believing racism is dead or systematic racism and oppression is not real.
Right around. They come over here, they get, all right, a Vietnamese girl. She called me a nigger. A nigga, a Vietnamese girl. I know it's not part of their language. Can't nobody tell me that's part of their language, but I'm gonna go over here. The beast, you know that. See, we go over here, we fight. Okay, we fight to defend the water we drink, the land we grow our food on, and our way of culture. We also fight to protect Rockefeller's foundations, kind of foundations that the black man can't partake of, you understand? And then we go back, we're continuously harassed. It's not necessary. This ain't what we heard, this is what we know.
This ain't what we heard, this is what we know.
They don't like us. They say we start trouble. Now who done put this stuff in their mind?
Imagine how obsessed white racist people are. Non-stop, they're thinking about black people. They obsess over us.
White people are obsessed with black people, which is why racists exist. Because in order to be racist, you need to wake up every day and just continuously think about why you don't like a person or a group of people based on the color of their skin.
To the point that they will go to a whole other country during a war and talk about black people and teach them words like or tell them we're nothing but trouble so that that's how they view us. And again, we still see that today. There are people in countries that have never seen or interacted with a black person in real life. But if you ask them about us, it would be nothing but negative connotations and racist sentiments. And it's because of the white racist narrative against black people. Now, there was a whole discourse that happened on X a few weeks ago about how immigrants built this country and black people didn't. New York City was literally founded by the Dutch, built by Irish and Italian laborers, powered by Jewish, Puerto Rican, and Dominican communities, and runs on immigrant hustle. The Statue of Liberty was donated by France to honor immigrants. It's literally the city's logo. Now, I've used Alex's tweets before, but this post is the definition of black erasure and anti-blackness. And there was a whole lot of responses to it and people correcting him. The Statue of Liberty was donated by France to honor immigrants. Just no, it wasn't. And the fact check started immediately after that. Explain to us how the chains on the Statue of Liberty represent immigrants. Literally. NYC was founded in 1624. The first wave of immigrant labor came in the late 1800s. I wonder who built everything in 200 plus years in between. The Statue of Liberty is literally a freed black slave. Yet another example of how left-wing white supremacy weaponizes immigrants and immigration narratives to erase black Americans and our emancipated ancestors. Alex is a paid Afro-immigrant Democrat shield from the Bahamas. He knows damn good and well this is xenophobic. And I guess they pulled the receipts, Bohemian flag, my parents are Bohemian too. Okay, y'all, getting out of pocket with this blatant erasure of black American New Yorkers. Not even including the black Americans that came to the city during the Great Migration. But there have been black Americans freed and enslaved in New York for generations, and the Statue of Liberty commemorates them. By the way, not seeing black Americans as a real group of people means you've decided to align yourself with white supremacist rhetoric. Erasing us from history also aligns with them. Keep it up, we're gonna put y'all in the same category as an enemy. And I don't think you can argue with that. The intention behind leaving black people out of history is intentional black erasure. The statue actually arrived before Ellis Island even opened. Are you okay? The children of immigrants really do not know American history at all. And you know, I do wonder how many immigrants of color, how many black immigrants have come to America and really invested into learning real American history, black American history, what we contributed to this country and what our sacrifices built. Because without a doubt, every single immigrant that comes to this country has benefited from black people's fight against racism and for equal rights for generations. Seeing that black American culture is woven in every aspect of this world while they act like we're some lost people is the greatest gaslighting pact ever. Trust none of these people. The actual Statue of Liberty Museum says otherwise. Here's a fascinating thing about this shit though. White Americans who literally use your country as a toilet and child trafficking superstore also need to lie that American descendants of slavery contributed nothing to this country. Why do you? The Statue of Liberty was created to celebrate free slaves, not immigrants. Its new museum recounts. Lady Liberty is inspired by the end of Civil War and emancipation. The connection to immigration came later. Black Americans literally cleared the forest that was Manhattan before colonization. They built the city's first infrastructure, including early roads that ended up becoming world famous, like Broadway.
Right now I'm standing on Wall Street in the financial district. We know Wall Street is a place of commerce, and sadly, for the first 200 years of the city's history, some of that commerce included people. The history of slavery in New York goes back to 1626, a year after the city's founding, when a group of 11 African men were brought here by the Dutch West India Company to help build the new settlement. In fact, these men built the wall for which Wall Street is named.
Black people literally built the wall for which Wall Street was named. Come on, man, what are we talking about?
By 1711, at least 40% of the city's households owned a slave, and New York was a major player in the North American slave trade. Now, the spot where I'm standing, the intersection of Wall Street and Pearl Street, was the site of New York's slave market, which operated here from 1711 to 1762. Even after 1827, when New York abolished slavery, businesses still profited from it. Local merchants were still free to outfit slave ships with food and equipment.
At the end of the day, black people are here to stay. We aren't going anywhere. We've been here since the founding of this country. And no matter what efforts are made to erase us or minimize our contributions to this country and the culture, we remain, we persevere, we keep the flame from our ancestors alive by continuing to be us, thrive, and reach greater heights while we honor the shoulders that we're standing on. Black people are just dope. I think I say it in every video. Also, shout out to my channel members. I appreciate y'all's support so much. But thanks for watching. Y'all let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Also, make sure you check out the next video, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram for behind the scenes and life stuff, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.